Hello, and welcome to New Noise, where you'll hear my ramblings and thoughts on the newest releases from bands and artists, both signed and unsigned. This podcast is brought to you as part of the Noise Podcast Network and sponsored by Stereo Brain Records. Most of the bands I'm going to talk about today are in our New Noise feature, which you can access most Sundays on our website. So if you want a full rundown of bands in addition to those that I mentioned today, then please go and do so. That is your place to go and find that. And there'll be a link in the bio for you to be able to do it nice and easy. If that wasn't enough, every single band or artist that feature in New Noise is also in our Spotify Essentials playlist. So please be sure to check that out, and you can find us at Noise UK. The podcast itself is on both Instagram and Twitter at Noise Podcast Network, and you can find our main website at Noise UK on social media. The podcast is available wherever you like to listen to your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple Music, etc. But you can also watch it on YouTube. All the bands that I talk about today will have a link in the bio, as well as links for the Essential playlist and New Noise feature. And last but not least, be sure to write in with any suggestions, whether this be something to listen to, your thoughts on the bands that I talk about, or even if you're a band or artist yourself. Please do not hesitate to get in touch via one of the handles I've mentioned above. Or get in touch via my own Twitter, which is at Jack_Noise. As this is the first of these features, I thought I'd take a moment just to touch upon why it's so important for me to do this. Rewind back to 2014, and there was two main reasons that I started Noise. But I think mainly it was to, one, sing from the rooftops about bands that I love, and two, it became very clear very quickly that I wanted to start talking about unsigned bands, which kind of came from my time working in Fuel Rock Club in Cardiff, and big shout out to there, which is where I kind of found my passion for doing this, and just sort of reviewed as many shows and bigged up as many bands as I possibly could that came through there. You hear it, but you don't hear it enough, regarding grassroots venues and, everything that the Music Venue Trust does. But it's really important, and it's a message that and a sentiment that I share, and it's something that we in Noise have held very dear since we started the website, and now since we started this podcast. And then fast forward, and good friend and Noise alumni Dan Hillier restarts our New Noise feature, which is a brilliant combination of bands and artists, both signed, unsigned, well-known, not known, all in one place. It's a collaborative effort from our writers. We are ourselves fans who are passionate about music, and this is our opportunity within Noise to bring a feature that we can bring bands ourselves into, that we can talk about and rave about, all in one place. And it feels like the perfect way to do things. And by extension, me talking about this here feels like the best sort of thing for me to try and do with this platform. So, without further ado, let me get stuck in. We've had to miss the last couple of weeks of New Noise because we've been really, really busy. So there's 4 bands that I want to shout out about today that didn't make this week's feature, but from next week onwards, a lot of what you'll hear me talking about is what you see featured there. I am also going to touch upon a couple that we've got. Each week, I'll put a spotlight on a couple of the bands, and then I will mention and do a bit of a quick fire through some of the other ones that we've got. Anyway, first band I want to talk about, Blackburn's DIY alt rockers Novustory. The band have just released their new single, Give Me Fire, and it's an atmospheric, beefed up banger. To me, it feels like a product of the band's increased confidence, their aptitude to combine melody and grit. It really feels like they've found their feet with this. Their first release since going back to being unsigned, and looks like they're using it to kickstart what we can expect next. I mean, these guys are a really interesting band. If you haven't checked them out or you haven't heard of Novustory, came about because Alex Holcomb sort of pushed them into the gaze of a record label, and I'm sure that's done a lot for them. They've also amassed a real cult following. There feels like almost like a movement behind them, and once you sort of dip your toe in, you can really understand as to why. The band have been prolific on social media through Instagram, and particularly through TikTok, and they're just fun, and you feel like you get a lot of character and passion, and they're very much a band for the people, and you can tell, it really feels genuine and authentic. In my eyes, the band are really showing what it takes and what it means to be a band in 2022, putting music and passion as the sole focus of what you do. The music video also has a lot of fire, so I mean, if any of what I've said doesn't land and this does, just watch that and go from there. But it's a bit of an undeniable banger, I will say. The band have announced October and November 2022 UK tour dates with Jen and the Degenerates, as well as headline dates as well. So there's plenty of opportunities to go and see the band. It's a good time to jump on it. Get on them now before they're playing bigger venues. Next up, Terra IV. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's Terra with an I and a V. Do tell me if I'm wrong. They dropped a single a couple of weeks ago called Gangsters. They sort of just dropped it out of nowhere. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't know about these guys. They're a rap metal outfit made somewhat of the ashes of Hacktivist. Guitarist Timothy is what I gather the kind of brainchild behind it, and it's one of his creative or many creative endeavors from what I can see. The band's made up of a couple of rappers, Timothy on guitar and vocals, and it feels fresh, but it also feels like a bit of a throwback. I'd definitely say it's shamelessly in your face. And I mean, the song itself is a bit of a war cry. You know, it talks about rising up. Lyrically, it touches on strife, on anger, on conflict. It questions society. It talks about being lied to. You know, it's something to get behind, and it feels quite easy to do that. It quite directly calls out regarding society's health as well as war, intelligence. It's a cool song in its verses and its structure. The chorus is made up of bits of melody from Coolio's Gangsters Paradise, and I think the song dropped just before Coolio's untimely death, which is mad timing. But the band have used the chorus really well. The focal point being that classic line of been spending most of our lives living in a gangster's paradise, you know, and then it's kind of repeated throughout the chorus with halftime drums coming in on the third bar and other sort of inflections that bolster it and come in the second time round as well. And, you know, of course it wouldn't be complete without a bit of a jawbreaker of a beat down. So, you know, it's kind of the full package. These guys, they're not necessarily going under the radar. I'm pretty sure they played Bloodstock this year, but, you know, they're definitely an underrated band coming back through, and I think they're on the point of sort of breaking out. So now's your time. Jump on that. One slightly more well-known artist, Celldweller, has dropped a single, Blind Lead the Blind. If you haven't heard of Celldweller, it's not like anything you'll have heard before. It might not be for some, it might largely be for others. Who knows? Clayton is the future rock pioneer that goes under the guise of Celldweller, probably his biggest successful project. And the single itself is coming off the new album Satellite. It's an album version of the previously released song, combining sort of a whole host of genres, which, to be fair, if you know of Celldweller, you'll know that that's not unusual. It includes drum and bass, metal, gent, even a bit of doom sort of sprinkled in there. And for those that have heard the song before, this is a bit of an extended version. It's got other bits in it that you wouldn't have heard. Celldweller's really good at kind of combining really aggressive vocals and sort of glitchy synths that sort of interweave with one another. In terms of effects and synthwave in general, there's nothing kind of off the cards. He never shies away from doing something completely different. So I would say, if you haven't heard of Celldweller, then what cave as a rock and metal music fan have you been hiding in? But also check him out. He's also the owner-founder of the independent record label Fixed, which has garnered quite an intense cult following, actually, across all of his projects, let alone just through Celldweller. But that will make this quite an anticipated release, I would imagine. Satellites is out October 14th via Fixed, so make sure to not miss that one and check that one out. It'd be remiss of me not to mention one of my new favourite progressive tech metal bands, and that is Luxrem, hailing from Miami, Florida. I also hope I've said that right, because I think that's the first time I've said it out loud. I wrote a feature about these guys a little while back for their single Aura. It's an absolute banger. It's polished, it's ferocious, it's melodic. The band double down on technicality, and I also kind of wrote that they pack in the riffs. It's creative, it feels fresh, it doesn't feel repeated, and they've recently dropped their new single Delta. It's atmospheric, it's bouncy, and the vocalist's got one hell of a voice. There's some real grit and tenacity shown. It is an absolute banger, and I'm not sure what the band are building up to, but I'm excited for it. And if you're in any way a post-hardcore, metalcore, tech metal fan in any way, shape or form, there's going to be a bit of something for you. So I strongly advise getting behind Luxrem. Great band. And I can't wait to see what they manage to pull out of the hat next. I am so stoked to be saying this, but it is really cool to have Dream State back. The band recently announced a new lineup. They dropped their new single, Taunt Me. They're the Welsh post-hardcore outfit that were rising to incredible heights, and this isn't the platform for me to talk about why there was a halt to that, but who cares? At this point, they're back. New vocalist, new lineup. I think the only remaining member from the original lineup is Aled Evans. The band, it goes without saying, have had an incredible history in what was a relatively short period of time, through their Recovery EP, through their bonkers single White Lies, which got an insane amount of views on YouTube, and now they're back. This is their comeback single. If anyone was worried about vocalist Jesse Powell's range, power, matching what CJ could do, I'd suggest Taunt Me kind of wipes any worries out of existence, in my opinion. And who wants vocalists to be the same? Let's have Jessie's take on it, and let's see what she can do with it. And evidently, from what we've seen so far, off the back of one single, people should be pretty damn excited. There's absolutely no denying her power and incredible vocal delivery, and the way that they've conducted it is fantastic. I think fans and music lovers alike embrace the change, enjoy the ride, because this very much feels like the start of what's going to be a really cool new chapter for this band. There's some really cool aspects in the song itself, from its kind of quirky sort of bridge breakdown section to an infectious chorus. There's elements still there, and I think it'll be really interesting to hear the old hits live with the new lineup, and just to see what the band can go on and do next. I mean, what would you rather? Would you rather no Dream State in the world, or some Dream State in the world, or this Dream State in the world? Or, I mean, any of those options are better than no Dream State, in my opinion. So, for those that, are struggling with that, get over it. They're back in a huge way. We're really stoked about it. I, for one, am a very happy boy. It's great to see you back, Dream State. And finally, at the end of each of these podcast episodes, I'm just going to do a quick fire roundup of some of what we've been talking about this week. We shouted about 16 must-listen tracks of the week that we backed. We talked about Sløtface, the left Norwegian pop-punk band that have just released their new single, Happy. MCR/Frank Iero fans, yes, he's back with a new project. LS Dunes have dropped their single, Bomb Squad. Pigs. I don't know if I did enough pigs there. Is it 7? I thought it was... I needed an extra pig in there, but I think they're going by pigs times 7. They're back with their new track, Terra's Pillow. The band John, it's not just one person, there's two of them. They've just dropped a new single as well. There's also new singles from Clean Cut Kid, Bone Carver. The Used have dropped a new song called Fuck You. Skin Failure are back with Sleepless Jesus and The Void. Bit of a cool preview of what we've got to come on their incoming album, Radlac. Also this week, we've got a new single from As Everything Unfolds. That's a really cool one to get excited about. The single is called Felt Like Home. Dream Drop, which are a band that we've backed for some time. The Gothenburg post-hardcore quintet with an ever-growing and ever-expanding sound that is absolutely fantastic. Be sure to check that out. And there's new singles from Zetra and Phoxjaw. Phoxjaw in particular dropped their new single, Apples, which is just as unpredictable and insane as you imagine it would be. It's off their upcoming second record, Not Very Nice Cream, which is due for release November 11th via Hassel Records. And that's it for New Noise this week. And if you've enjoyed any part of what I've done today, then be sure to give a like, subscribe, follow. Like I've said before, we're on YouTube, we're on streaming platforms. Subscriptions and comments go such a long way to help us keep doing this. We're on Instagram at Noise Podcast Network and at Noise UK. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook. We're pretty much everywhere you can find us, apart from TikTok. We haven't quite branched that far yet, but who knows in the near future. On any of the podcasts that we put out on this network, we appreciate your comments, your feedback. Any kind of engagement goes a really long way, so we appreciate that. Don't forget to check out the New Noise feature itself, as well as the Essential playlist, both of which are linked in the bio. I'll see you next week for more New Noise. In the meantime, stay noisy.